Now, a $54 strip steak overdone with a dollop of ketchup. Donald Trump's first dinner in a Washington restaurant over the weekend. And no surprise, it was in his own hotel up the road from the White House. Well, my next guest wrote yesterday everything the leader of the free world does, the books he chooses to read or not, his clothes, the food he reaches for, is examined for meaning. So what should we make of it? And is cooking the life out of a steak the best way to actually eat it? Let's throw all of that round for the next few minutes. Let's talk to the food critic, Tom Sietsma, who's in the Washington Post studios there, and also in the studios here is the chef Pap Duraku from London's MASH Steakhouse. Let's head straight to Washington first. And Tom, welcome to the programme. Before we go any further, that's not how you usually dress, so why are you undercover today?
Well, I'm sort of in the witness protection program here as a journalist, probably. In reality, I keep my identity secret as restaurant critic here for the Washington Post. I just prefer people not know what I look like when I go into a restaurant.
Right. Trump, overdone steak in his own hotel. What did you make of it?
You know, I feel so bad. The restaurant that he went to in his hotel, BLT Prime, is actually a pretty good place to eat, and they really do meet well there. Unfortunately, I just feel like Mr. Trump eats a bit like a teenage boy in that he likes his steak cooked well done, which is not done well, and he prefers to eat it with ketchup, which is sort of anathema, even to a farm kid like me from Minnesota, I have to say.
I'll come back to ketchup in a moment, but let me bring in Pap, who's here with me. Strip steak, first of all.
Yeah.
Unusual for me. What is that?
With ketchup on top, probably. But as you want, as you like.
And the perfect way, come on, tell me, the perfect way to cook a steak, what is it?
The perfect way to cook a steak is exactly how you like it. You can ask rare, medium, well done, blue. We get different requests nowadays. People ask for like a Pittsburgh style, which is actually charred outside but actually raw inside. So
you've brought in two. They look superficially pretty similar.
The same size, but you can see actually now after it's been cooked, it's disintegrated quite a lot. So it's going to almost half, so at least 40%.
So that's the rare one.
That's the medium one.
Yeah.
That's well done, as the people call it.
What does a chef make of it? You know, when a piece of meat like that is obliterated, what do you think?
Well, what can I think? You know, we give to the guests whatever they ask for, but sometimes we might disagree on the way how they choose to have their steaks, but they're eating it, so we give it whatever they want.
Let's head back to Washington. Tom, you know, Donald Trump likes to think, you know, he's a regular kind of guy. That's what he says about his food. He likes Big Macs, he likes pizzas, his own mother's meatloaf. I mean, is he unadventurous, or is it rather snobbish that we expect him to be sort of fine dining and exotic restaurants?
Well, like I said, I want everyone to know I'm from a farm state in Minnesota. I grew up with great steaks, and my father refused to let us eat our steaks with ketchup as a kid. I remember this. It's just been drilled in. So it's not. It's less of an elitist thing than it is just treating your food with a little respect and getting the most enjoyment out of it, I think. A well-done steak tastes much differently and feels differently in your mouth than a properly cooked piece of steak. And I think a really good piece of beef should be enjoyed for itself rather than have its flavor masked with something as plain and sweet as American ketchup.
And what do you think's going on with politicians and food? I mean, there are countless photo ops, aren't there? I mean, there's subtle messaging always, you know, a regular kind of guy or flipping burgers, presidents and prime ministers when they meet.
Sure. You know, I think Trump really has bonded with a large segment of people. You know, I think fast food in moderation is not a bad thing, but even his own daughter has expressed concern in interviews about her father's diet and the way he eats. He doesn't strike me as a guy who really gets a lot of enjoyment out of food. People who have eaten with him, you know, he likes short dinner hours. Dinner is his favorite meal of the week. He doesn't eat much for breakfast. If he does, it might be at his desk. At least it was when he was living in Trump Tower. And, you know, I think he's the type of politician who sees food as fuel rather than something to bring people in or to gather people around.
We're seeing
He's a
pictures
creature of habit, for sure.
We're seeing pictures of Barack Obama and David Cameron, but I mean, there are pitfalls in all of this. We were seeing just a few moments ago Trump on the campaign plane eating a bucket of KFC with a knife and fork, which he was ridiculed, and John Kasich did the same with a piece of pizza. There are many pitfalls here.
Right, there certainly are. And, you know, the odd thing about Trump and pizza, I mean, he's a New Yorker, and no New Yorker is going to eat pizza with a knife and a fork, but he sort of got away with it, or excused it by saying it was one way for him to keep his weight down, that by separating cheese or toppings from crust, he would eat the toppings and not the crust, which to me is a little bit mystifying, because why would you eat pizza if you didn't want the crust? Oh well, you know, to each his own, but I do think it's a little interesting for a New Yorker to eat pizza with a knife and fork.
Pap, Richard Nixon used to have ketchup on his cottage cheese. I mean, what is the most unusual request you've had as a chef when the message comes to the back room of the kitchens?
I think probably the strangest request we had a guest, which is sent an email to reservation with 2 pages of allergies, different types of allergies.
So a long list of things he didn't want.
They had 2 pages. Like basically, this person was highly allergic to some stuff.
And if you had to cook something for Donald Trump, what would you like to cook for him?
Whatever he likes.
And in any way he likes. I mean, for a chef, when someone says a dollop of ketchup on top, don't you just pull your hair out?
Well, as I said before, you might disagree with people's decision, but still have to give them whatever they like.
Tom, a final word from you, and I'll return to that article you wrote yesterday. You said, you know, you look for meaning in just about everything, clothes, food, all the rest of it. You know, from what you've seen so far, if you had to try and get a snapshot of what you've learned and what we might expect going forward, what would be your conclusion?
Oh my gosh. Well, I do think, just based on his eating habits on the campaign trail and what he's done here in the city so far, he's a big fan of very plain taste. Meatloaf is his pet food. I think we're looking at 4 more years of imitation vanilla.
Well, Tom there at the Washington Post studios and Pap here in our studios, thanks both of you for being with us and talking that all through. Thanks very much for your time. Still to come on today's Global, would you ever let someone read your diary? We'll discover how your journal could help future historians find out what life today is really like.